Frogs are some of the most iconic animals ever. I mean, we went from this being how people drew frogs to this. I don't even know how we got here, but I love it. And of course, there are some well-loved frog Pokemon in the franchise. One of the most popular Pokemon ever is a frog. Okay, well, it's also a ninja, but Venusaur is also a frog. Yes, it's a frog. Basically, all frog Pokemon that exist are all well-loved and well-liked. I stand by what I said. So today I will be using a full team of frog-like Pokemon. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a frog team. This team was actually really fun and interesting, and I have two interesting battles to showcase as always, and I hope you enjoy them. And also special thank you to Craft for coming up with this idea. Now, leading things off here with Poliwrath, which is not a really ideal lead into Reuniclus, so I'm gonna have to swap into my my Raging Bolt, aka my Belly Bolt. This is an Assault Vested Belly Bolt. I'm gonna call this Raging Bolt at some point. I just know it. So the Reuniclus ends up being a dual screens lead, which was not what I was expecting. So I was like, oh, that's gonna be annoying to have to deal with. So they're gonna set up the Reflect. Now I have this Politoed here. This Politoed was the centerpiece to the entire team because I am running a rain team, as you can see, and all of my Pokemon take advantage of the rain in some form of capacity. So I missed my Hydro Pump on the incoming Quaxclaval. Not that that would have done a lot, but I do have a good answer for this in terms of my Toxicroak. Now, this Toxicroak was like my favorite set on this team. This is a fully defensive Toxicroak, a max health, max defense with Toxic, Drain Punch, Super Fang, and Protect. Now, this set works very well with my Dry Skin ability because I could get a lot of recovery in the rain. Oh my goodness, this Quaxclaval has Brave Bird. I was not expecting it to have that move, but because I'm max defense, I'm able to tank that hit. I get off a Super Fang on this thing as well. I should have went for the Toxic, but I really wasn't expecting Quaxclaval to have Brave Bird. I was thinking that they might swap out. So this turn, I'm going to go for the Protect, get some more Dry Skin plus Leftovers recovery. Also, for some reason, the Terra option that I had on this was Bug. I'm not sure why I had Terra Bug on this, but that would have made me like super weak to the fire moves, especially because of my Dry Skin ability. I think it's because I wanted to like be resistant to ground moves as well and also still maintain my fighting weakness. So I'm going to swap out there. I'm going to swap in my Belly Bolt on what I'm expecting to be another Brave Bird, which is going to be incoming. I wasn't confident that I would be able to tank the next Brave Bird on the health that I was at. So I thought, well, I have this Belly Bolt here with Thunder and Volt Switch. That Aqua Step in the rain does so much damage to me, but I am an offensive Belly Bolt with Electromorphosis, and I'm just going to go for the Volt Switch and take out the Quaxclaval. So I was like, that's a really good threat out of the way, especially since I set up the rain for it. This Belly Bolt has a Weather Ball as well, so it can use Weather Ball in the rain. So in comes my Greninja. This was also a really good Pokemon on this team. I'm Choice Specs Greninja, and I have Surf, Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, and Hydro Cannon. Now, Volcarona came in. I was really thinking that they might like go for the bait and Terrasilize that turn, maybe into like Terra Grass. So I didn't want to stay in on the Volcarona just in case it like Terrasilize into a Grass type and then like went for Giga Drain or Quiver Dance. So I actually swapped in my Belly Bolt, but they actually went for Bug Buzz, and now they're going to go for the Fiery Dance to take out their Belly Bolt. So I really thought that they would Terrasilize that turn, but they ended up just staying in. So I thought, I'm just going to go into my Politoed. This is an offensive Politoed. I have a Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Earth Power. I also have Rain Dance on this just in case the opponent sets up like Weather with like another Pokemon. But I'm able to take out the Volcarona with one Hydro Pump. So the Reuniclus is going to swap in. I was like, okay, well, they're definitely going to start setting up, like, their dual screens again. I want to knock off their Light Clay, assuming that they have it. So, this is a physical Swords Dancing Venusaur. Now, Venusaur is based on a frog. Like, obviously, everyone knows in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it, like, hops around like a frog. But Venusaur could also be based on prehistoric frogs. Like, it's based on, like, a dinosaur. It has, like, Venusaur in its name. But it could also be based on, like, more prehistoric frogs of like that time period. I forgot the name of it exactly. I know it starts with a B, but I'll have it in my little trivia box down below. But anyway, my Venusaur is going to get easily taken out by a Psychic. Reuniclus just has so much special attack, but I'm running a Yashi Berry on that set as well. So I'm gonna go for the Surf Choice Specs Rain Boosted Surf. Even with the Light Screen and Ting Lu's ability, it's just gonna get absolutely 2-hit KO'd on that. So this is also a Battle Bond Greninja as well. So I get my special attack and speed boost, and also I have my Choice Specs as well. So it hits really, really hard in the rain. And Scizor comes in. I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go for the Surf and do as much damage as I possibly can. I actually just barely missed out on the KO. Even after the raid, it was pretty much the Light Screen that just saved that Scizor. So I'm gonna get taken out by the X Scissor, but I was like, that's fine. I have my Toxicroak. I should be able to tank any hit from this. They're gonna go for that Bullet Punch, Technician boosted. My max defense allows me to take that hit, and I'm gonna go for that Drain Punch and take out the Scizor. So I was like, okay, well, their last two Pokemon is a Reuniceless, which is like dual screens. I'm definitely like worried about like it going for a Psychic. The rain also stopped, so I was like, okay, this is a good turn for me to swap in my Politoed and, you know, set up the rain again. If they decide to go for dual screens, at the very least, it's not going to last the full 8 turns. It's only going to last like 5 turns. So, swapping out my Toxicroak into my Politoed, my favorite part about using these like non-franchise based teams is that I actually get to nickname the Pokemon. It's always my favorite part. I love nicknaming Pokemon. When it's not like based on like characters and everything, I just love just like nicknaming them like the absolutely just creative nicknames that you're seeing right now, right? So going for the Hydro Pump, as I expected, the Reuniceless is gonna set up the Light Screen and Reflect, but at the very least, I am able to 2-hit KO the Reuniceless, and I land both of my Hydro Pumps, which is nice. I'm able to take out the Reuniceless. It also has a Trick Room, actually, so I set up the Trick Room for the Snorlax in the back. So I was like, okay, obviously this thing is going to outspeed me. I want to keep my Politoed because I have my Poliwrath in the back, and they're going to go for the Crunch. I was wondering if this was like, first of all, I was wondering if this was like a curse set. Second of all, I was wondering if this had immunity, so it could like block Toxic Poisoning, because I have Toxic on this set. So I'm going to go for the Protect. I'm stalling out the Trick Room turns, and I want to see what this Snorlax is going to go for. They're just going to go for the Heavy Slam, so I was like, okay, this looks like it might be like an all-out, like maybe offensive Snorlax, potentially. So I'm going to get that Dry Skin and Leftovers recovery. The Dry Skin actually recovers so much more than Leftovers, which is what makes it such a really nice ability. So the Trick Room is going to run out. I'm going to go for the Toxic this turn. I was wondering if this Snorlax had Rest as well. That could have been problematic if they did have Rest, but holy smokes, the Snorlax goes for Belly Drum. I was like, wow, okay, so I'm definitely gonna get taken out by whatever hit the Snorlax goes for. But at the very least, I could go for another Protect this turn, get some toxic damage, like slowly whittling away at this Snorlax. It actually brought it like over half health, but with the poison damage, it's actually gonna allow it to eat its berry. And it's going to be the Papa Berry. So I was like, okay, well, it recovered a lot of its health. I do threaten them with the Drain Punch at the very least, but I want to go for the Protect and get as much poison damage as I possibly can into the Snorlax, which is easily going to take me out. So I'm going to go for that Protect. They're going to Heavy Slam into me. I was thinking, like, wow, they don't have any, like, normal moves. It doesn't seem like they have one anyway. They have a Crunch and Heavy Slam. I wonder if their last move is, like, Recycle, to recycle the berry. So the Reflect wears off. I was like, okay, that's good. I'm gonna go for the Drain Punch here. I do a lot of damage, even though I don't have any attack investment. Obviously the Heavy Slam is gonna tick me out, but I put it just in range for the poison damage to take out the Snorlax. So that's the end of the first game. That Toxicroak, that defensive Toxicroak, is actually like my pride and joy of a set, especially in rain. It came in super handy in this battle. So on to the second battle. Now, my opponent is going to lead Dragapult, and I'm going to lead Venusaur. I led this Pokemon because I wasn't really sure what this Dragapult was going to be, if it was like Dragon Dance or something, but it's another dual screens lead. I was like, oh, perfect, great. I have to deal with dual screens again, and my knockoff gets disabled on my Venusaur. But at the very least, I do get rid of the Light Clay, so now it can only have like 5 turns of Reflect at the very least. So I'm going to go for the Swords Dance this turn. Now, I was thinking here, if it's a dual screens Dragapult, it might have a Curse to, Curse does, it takes away 50% of your health, and it might want to do that so that it can get the max amount of turns as possible for its other teammates. So I'm just going to go for the Earthquake. Unfortunately, my other move is Power Whip, so that's not going to do anything, and the Dragapult ends up burning me, and it also has Curse, so my Venusaur really wasn't going to do a lot of damage to this pulp in with the reflect up and because I'm burned. But at the very least, it does have curse and it did take itself out. So I was like, that's fine. I'm just gonna go for that sword stance. Not that it's gonna matter because I'm like burned and there's a reflect up, but I kind of figured that the Dragapult would maybe it would either have a U-turn or a curse potentially. So I'm gonna get hit by that curse. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and they have Koraidon. So I was like, oh great, I have to deal with this thing. At the very least, I do have Rain, so I could like counteract its Orichalcum Pulse at the very least. I can set up the Rain, and then it won't get its attack boost because of its ability, and it also won't get the Sun boost. So they're gonna go for the Flare Blitz. I was like, okay, that's fine. My Politoed takes that very, very well because of the Rain and because of the resist. But this turn I thought, well, in case they go for like a Dragon Claw or like another like Scale Shot or something, I want to swap in my defensive Toxicroak to like handle basically any hit, hopefully, because I'm like max defense. So interestingly, Dusknoir comes in actually. So the reflect wears off. I'm like, okay, well, Dusknoir is normally a very, very bulky Pokemon. So I want to go for the toxic and like poison this Pokemon and like hopefully like whittle it down. But it goes for the Trick Room. Like, wow, this battle is like shades of the first battle. They have a Trick Room Pokemon and they have a Dual Squeeze Pokemon. So I was like, okay, well, I did get a Toxic off on this thing. I'm not sure if this is like offensive or what set this is running, but it goes for the Poltergeist. So I was like, okay, it has to be offensive, surely. So my Venusaur is going to get hit by my Yashi Berry, and that is going to take me out, unfortunately. I was hoping I would be able to maybe like take a, like, if this had Will-O-Wisp, I really didn't want my Toxicroak to get burned. So I was thinking I would maybe like go for like my swapping into Venusaur, anticipating that they would go for the Will-O-Wisp. So the Light Speed is gonna wear off, and I'm gonna swap into my Belly Bolt. Now, my Belly Bolt outspeeds in the Trick Room. I was like, no, because we both have the same speed, but since they were Trick Room, I was hoping that they would outspeed me so that I would get my Electromorphosis boosted Thunder off and just one-shot this Dusknoir. But unfortunately, I outsped them, and Thunder isn't gonna take them out. And they are gonna go for the Poltergeist on me. Now I am Electromorphosis boosted. So I thought, well, if they outspend me, that would be really, really annoying, because I would be put on a very low amount of health. But Koraidon comes in, so I was like, okay, that's fine. I could go for maybe I should have went for Thunder. No, I should have went for Thunder this turn because it would have been 50% accurate because of the sun. But I did go for the Volt Switch, and I do some good damage to Koraidon just because of my Electromorphosis ability. So, swapping in my Politoed, I'm gonna set up the Rain again. The Rain was like my biggest counter action to Koraidon's Sun, because they also had a Flutter Mane in the back that could also take advantage of like the Sun with its photosynthesis ability, and I really did not want to deal with well, first of all, I did not want to deal with Flutter Mane, period. But I also did not want to deal with a Flutter Mane with a booster energy boost in the Sun. So I thought I really need my Politoed so that I could counter both the Koraidon and the Flutter Mane that they have in the back. So, going for the Earth Power, the Trick Room runs out, and I'm going to be able to take out the Dusknoir. It was interesting to see Dusknoir on a team like this, to be honest. So, Koraidon comes back in, sets up the Sun again. I'm like, okay, well, I need to set up the Sun. I need to keep my Politoed around to really counteract this Koraidon that keeps coming in. They go for the Wild Charge, though, which is interesting. I was like, well, that's annoying that they have that as a coverage option, but, you know, I was really hoping I was sacrificing my my Belly Bolt anyway, but still, I got 2-hit KO by the Wild Charge. Shows how strong this Pokemon is. So I thought, okay, well, I have to bring in my Politoed again. I have to set up that Rain, but I have to swap out this turn, because obviously, I'm going to get absolutely blown away by a Wild Charge from this thing. I'm not sure what its item is as well. So they are going to go for a Wild Charge. Look at my defensive Toxicroak taking that hit from Koraidon. This thing is so tanky. Kind of. So, I'm going to get that Dry Skin recovery, and I'm also going to get that Leftovers recovery. Now, this turn I thought, well, they have a Scizor in the back. They have another Scizor, by the way. And I don't really want to go for the Toxic in case it comes in. So I'm just going to go for the Drain Punch. I really also wanted to chip the Koraidon as well. So I am going to get off that Drain Punch. And with that Drain Punch recovery and the Dry Skin recovery, I'm basically able to get all the way up to full HP, which is like very nice. So swapping in my Poliwrath. Also, you should absolutely watch Amphibia, by the way. I haven't explained this set. So this is a Belly Drum Poliwrath. I have Encore on this set as well. I have Liquidation, and I have Drain Punch on this. So, Liquidation does a lot of damage to the Scizor. Unfortunately, it has the Citrus Berry. It went for the Sword Stance, but now it's going to go for another Sword Stance. I didn't want to go for Encore just in case they bullet punched me immediately, because then I would Encore them into bullet punch and that would be like a wasted turn. Oh my gosh, the liquidation just barely misses out on the KO. Of course I get a defense drop when it's on like 1 HP. But they go for another Sword Dance. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going all in with this Scizor. They're also going to terrestrialize their Scizor as well. Probably most definitely into Terra Steel. So I was like, okay, they're +6 bullet punch. They're technician boosted. They're not life form. They have a citrus berry. So I should be able to tank this hit because I am a Poliwrath. I do have some good natural bulk and I do resist it. And I do take the +6 Terra Steel bullet punch. Thank goodness. And I'm going to eat my citrus berry and obviously, I'm going to be able to take out this Scizor with the raid boosted liquidation. And there goes their Terra option as well. So I was like, yeah, okay, that's really good. I don't have to worry about like a terrestrialized Koraidon or a terrestrialized Fluttermane that they have in the back. So Koraidon comes back in. They're going to obviously like take away my my rain. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have to sacrifice my Toxicroak this turn. Like I said, I really couldn't like hard switch in my Politoed because if I did, they could always swap out that Koraidon and bring it back in and then reset up the sun. And I really don't want that. Also, my poor Toxicroak got hurt by the dry skin sun. So I'm just gonna get off that leftovers recovery, but it's not gonna matter because I'm gonna get 2-hit KO by Wild Charge. But I thought, you know what, this is really fine because the Wild Charge recoil put them on a very low amount of health, and so I'm gonna bring on my Politoed. Now, if they decide to take me out, they're gonna get taken out by their own recoil, and that's perfectly fine with me, because that means that my rain is here to stay, and that's gonna be really beneficial for both my Greninja and my Poliwrath that I have in the back. So it's a 2v2 right now. Fluttermane comes in, I'm gonna have my Poliwrath. Now, with the Swift Swim, I am gonna be easily able to outspeed this Fluttermane. Now, I made a huge misplay here. So I'm going to terrestrialize, and yeah, this terrestrialization was definitely not ideal because I already took out the Fluttermane anyway with the liquidation, but my thought process was in case it was Sash that maybe I would like tank off Moonblast afterward because I wouldn't be weak to it, but they weren't Sash and I took them out, and now the Qianpao comes in, and unfortunately the Qianpao has Sucker Punch, and that takes me out because I'm no longer a fighting type. So I was like, is this thing Sash? Like, cause like, if this is Sash, that's really bad for a Greninja, because I can't go for Surf because it will live on the Sash, and they most likely have Sacred Sword, and they do stay in and don't go for Sucker Punch, so they're not banned. So I was like, okay, I need 4 hits on Water Shuriken in order to take them out, and I do get 4 hits on Water Shuriken. I just got so ratted out. Oh my gosh. Out of every battle that I uploaded, I think this one was the game that I deserved the least to win. Like, that was... I'm not even loaded dice. I'm specs, by the way. So, that's the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.